Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Elite City Podcast. Today, we're doing our WrestleDream Preview. And of course, that would be myself, Rick, and I'm joined today by Jay. Jay,
Hello.
how's it going?
It's going great. How about you?
Pretty good. Yeah. It's Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend. I'm very excited. I'm going to eat every kind of pie.
I was going to just ask you, how much pie are you going to eat?
Just nonstop. Just for days. Yeah, it's the best part of the holiday. It's just eating, and it's a great holiday. I know your Thanksgiving is later, but it's a similar holiday.
Yeah.
It's great because you don't have anything else to do other than just eat food. There's
just
no there's no obligations attached to it other than you have to eat as much.
Right.
As
I don't have to buy gifts for anybody. I just eat.
Yeah, it's great. You're not expected to do anything. You just have to eat food.
Right. You just show up and eat food.
Yeah, it's great. Now that we've wasted your time talking about pie, just remind everyone, subscribe to our podcast wherever you're listening to it. If you're listening to somewhere that lets you rate us, please rate us. If you're listening where you can comment, please comment. If you're watching or listening on YouTube, hit that bell so you can get notified whenever we post things. And you could follow us on social media everywhere at Elite City Pod, except for the bad one, because we don't really use that one. But we use all the other ones. If you're on social media, you know what the bad one is.
Have we all vacated the bad one?
Pretty much. I mean, we have an account on there, but it doesn't do anything.
I know, but I mean us personally. I think we've all vacated, correct?
Yeah, we vacated the bad one. It's gone for obvious reasons. Yeah, well, and also before we start, I just want to say currently, as we're recording this, there's a pretty massive storm hitting the state of Florida right now and probably the surrounding area. We're all far away from it, so we're safe. But it looks incredibly dangerous, and we want to say that wherever you are, we hope that you're safe and that your loved ones are safe and everyone's doing well.
Absolutely.
And on that note, let's talk about something completely unimportant, like wrestling.
That's right. Let's dive right in.
I don't know if it's just me. I feel like I'm a little bit overwhelmed by AEW these days.
There's a lot. Just we have pay-per-view. It seems like it's just bang, bang, bang.
I'm not even saying I'm not saying it's bad. All the shows are good. That's the thing. They're all good. They're all entertaining. I enjoy them all. It's not even necessarily a negative thing. It's just a lot. There's just so much going on.
There is a lot going on.
I looked it up, and since July 17th, which less than 3 months ago, we've had obviously the regular shows. But then we've had the Dynamite 250th episode special. Then we had the Blood and Guts episode of Dynamite. Then we had All In. Then we had All Out. Then we had Grand Slam on Dynamite. Then we had recently the Dynamite 5-year anniversary. Then this week we had Title Tuesday. And now we're having WrestleDream. So that's 8, special things in less than 3 months.
There's a lot to digest. And then Tony's like, we have an announcement coming every week. So
I mean, don't get me wrong, they've all been good. I've been entertained. I've enjoyed them all. I'm sure that I'm going to enjoy the show this weekend. It feels like it's hard to find anything, truly special when there's so much.
Right, because it's kind of like, not to go back to WWE, but it reminds me of when they had pay-per-views for each individual show. Raw would have its own pay-per-view, and then do you remember that SmackDown would have its own, and then they kind of combined the pay-per-views with both shows?
Yeah, but the only difference is those pay-per-views were generally bad.
Right, but I'm saying to me it feels more kind of like things are rushed now, we're trying to cram more in between, and it's just it's not
just from a narrative format. I'm not saying they haven't told good stories, which they have, but it's just harder to build things and maintain focus and script when there's this is happening at this show, but also there's this show and also there's this show, and by the way, don't forget about this other show. It's I don't know, it's a lot. It's a lot. I know I sound selfish because I'm AEW is putting on too much entertaining programming, and I like the special stuff. I like when they do special episodes. It does make it a bit more exciting. But I just wish they would have spaced it all out. We don't need to have everything in a 3-month period.
Right.
I would just wish I don't know. I wish they'd space it out more throughout the year. But
that's fair.
It is I guess it's the summer. It's the time when people do, which is a little weird though, because it's the summer, so you think people are out doing stuff, but then they're not watching TV. So why are all the special things on in the summer?
Right, people are vacationing, they're going out and doing things. It's nice out, they're outdoors. Whereas in the wintertime, it's what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, to us, we're used to snow. I mean, some places are still very warm in the wintertime.
Yeah,
but
some people are just like in the winter, I do the exact same thing I do in the summer. I just go out and
I'm like,
have fun.
I don't want to have to put on 6 layers and go out and get in a cold car and wait for it to start up and defrost.
Right, exactly. So with that said, with this kind of enthusiasm, here's our preview for WrestleDream. We're going to talk about every match. We're going to try to make some predictions. At least personally, I'm going to try to be funny. I will likely fail miserably, and none of my jokes will go over well. But I'm going to try. So here we are. Thank you. That's the kind of attitude we want as we start the show.
I was saying Boo Earns.
What you want from a show is, as you're starting, the co-host is just booing. That's what you want.
That's right. No, I wasn't booing. I was saying Boo Earns.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I completely unrelated. If I was a wrestler, I decided now my wrestling name would be Boo Earns. And then if people booed me, I'd be like, no, you're all saying Boo Earns. They're not booing me. What are you talking about? They just really love me. And then if they cheer for me, hey, they cheer for me. So you kind of win either way.
Would you be Mr. Snub? Would that be your name?
Yeah, maybe.
You could be doing the Boo Earns. I don't know.
That would be fun. Or I'd have an alter ego who's Mr. Snub, and I pretend like it's not me. Yes.
You just have a mustache on.
Yeah, I just like a bad mustache and pretend it's not me, and be like, I don't know what that Boo Earns is up to. I'm Snub. Yeah, that would work.
That's great.
Anyway, actual wrestling, not idiocy. We're starting with 0 Hour, the singles match for the ROH World Television Championship, Atlantis Jr. versus Brian Cage. I'm going to be completely honest, I don't really watch ROH.
I don't either, and I'm really not a fan of Brian Cage, and so this is kind of like meh to me.
Yeah. I don't really know who Atlantis Jr. is. I'm sorry, I don't.
No, I knew Brian from like a lot of the indie stuff before he was in Ring of Honor, and affiliated with AEW, and I just was kind of like, I'm just very much like, I know people probably won't
Brian Cage is fine. Like, he's fine.
Fine.
Blasco and I had a running gag years ago that Brian Cage was horrible, and he's not horrible. Like, he's fine. He's perfectly fine. He's Brian Cage. And Atlantis Jr., I assume, is the son of Atlantis Sr. That's all I know about him.
We're off to a really strong start.
Yeah, we're doing well. I think there's also a chance he may be a lost city submerged somewhere under the ocean. Is that correct?
Sure.
But I think I'm picking him. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I wouldn't see Brian Cage. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think Atlantis will retain.
Yeah. Speaking of another match that I don't really want to talk about, the ROH World Championship, Mark Briscoe, the champion, against Chris Jericho. It's my personal boycott, and that I'm not going to talk about this very much. I choose not to. You can if you'd like.
Well, I just would like to say I hope Mark Briscoe comes out on top, because the last thing we need is Chris on Ring of Honor on top of everything else.
Yeah, then he could be on 2 shows. Oh. Yeah, he'd be on Ring of Honor and AEW. Yeah, he'd just waste everyone's time on both shows.
I always love Mark's energy, because he's always like really hyped up and ready to go, and I just wish, like, wow, I wish I had that energy.
Yeah.
And I really like Brian Keys, and I feel like he's so much better than just like a lackey for Chris.
Yeah, Big Bill is too. Big Bill's pretty funny. I like them. I just don't like Jericho.
Brian's wrestling in general, I mean, he's amazing, and I just feel like they could be doing something way cooler with Brian Keys.
Yeah.
Especially with his, his like kind of outlaw cowboy thing he has. Like, I really dig it, and it sucks he's just stuck with Chris.
Yeah. I hope Mark Briscoe wins. I think he will. I don't think necessarily Jericho is going to win, but I do think something's going to happen after the match so that this feud will continue for 6 more months, because that's tradition now. That's what happens every Jericho feud. Just, you can't have like a 2-month feud. You have to get to the point where you're just like, enough already. And then he's like, you know what? Now that everyone hates this, I'm going to have 1 more match. Just stretch it out. Maybe he'll get Hook involved. Maybe he'll keep feuding with Hook again. Who knows? Maybe he'll just bring that back. Anyway, moving on. On to matches that are more interesting to me. Darby Allin versus Brody King. This week was pretty fun. Darby Allin basically came out and said that he's the face of the company and that he got Brody King hired. And Brody King was like, yeah, but you're always trying to kill yourself. You can't be the face of the company because you want to like climb Mount Everest and like
you want to light yourself on fire.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then then Brody King got hit in the face with a rock. So that happened.
Yep. I would like to see Brody come out on top and maybe kind of like knock Darby down a little bit, because Darby really has been doing very well in AEW. Like, I mean, he has for himself. It would be nice to see Brody kind of get a little notch in there.
I agree. I think the House of Black, all of them together and as a group, they could be doing more. And I know that Malachi's not around all the time. He may be injured. He may not be. That's fine. But the other one, like Brody or Buddy Murphy, I feel like they should be doing something. Yeah.
House of Black to me is so cool. I just love the aesthetic, and Malachi, he always he had a similar kind of aesthetic in NXT and WWE, and so I just think they're like the coolest.
And Brody King, like, he looks like a guy that he could destroy you.
Yeah,
he just looks big. He looks big. He looks intimidating. Yeah, he looks scary. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna win. I think they took Darby's title shot away, and I feel like this is. Actually, maybe Darby will lose. I wrote Darby down as winning, but I think maybe Darby will lose. Maybe they're going for all these bad things are happening to Darby Allin, then he has to like pull himself back up.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I could see them doing that. But there is a good chance that Brody King actually murders him in this match. Like it could happen.
Probably.
I think Darby Allin might appreciate that. Like, he seems like that's what he wants. Like, I want to die in the wrestling ring.
But kind of like he died doing what he loved. Kind of meme.
He might be upset if he got murdered, because I think what he's truly aiming for is he wants to kill himself doing something insane.
Yes.
Like, he's like, if he's gonna die in the ring, like, I want to do it. I want to jump off 15 ladders through a spike covered table, and then someone throws glass on me.
I still feel kind of like
they light the rubble on fire.
Yes.
And then
that's what I mean. Like, I still feel kind of like, how's Darby gonna top like the whole fire thing? I mean, how's he gonna top every time?
I feel like how is he gonna insane? Like live through the next couple matches? Like, if he tries to top it, like there's only so, like, I know he seems like he's a guy who can take a lot, but like the human body can only physically take so much. Like, he can't just keep doing this. He can't be like, hey, I'm gonna light myself on fire twice, and then I'm gonna go through glass, and then I'm gonna fall on thumbtacks. Oh my gosh. Like, in real life, in the span of like 2 weeks, he broke his ankle and then got hit by a bus.
Yeah, it's so much. At some point, your body is just gonna quit on you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say Darby, but if Brody King won, I wouldn't be surprised. And I think now that maybe that's what they're gonna do, but I don't know.
I would think it would be fun if Brody won.
It would be. I like him. He should. They haven't done much with House of Black, and I feel like they kind of should.
Yep.
So that would be cool if you got. I mean, Darby is a big name, so if he beat Darby, that would be pretty big for him. So that'd be cool. Next match, singles match, AEW TNT Championship, Jack Perry versus Katsuyori Shibata. This felt a little weird. It kind of just showed up. Like, one day Shibata was like, I want to wrestle you, and they're like, okay, and like, that's fine.
And I like Shibata. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine, but it does seem like it's kind of the victim of everything being so close.
Right. And I like Shibata. I think he's great, but I just don't think, considering like the whole story with like Jack Perry, and remember we were talking previously about how like he kind of started to build this momentum and he got better on the mic and things like that. I don't think Jack loses yet. I still think there's more to his story and his journey as the champion. Yeah. So I don't think as much as cool it would be to see Shibata take it, I still think there's more for Jack to do.
I agree. And I mean, Jack Perry's been doing great since he came back. He's been doing a really great job. I just want to talk. I want to quote Jack Perry right now from last night's Dynamite and talk about this for a little bit. This is quoting Jack Perry. There's a lot you could say about Shibata. He's a legend. He's the embodiment of fighting spirit. He's got a damn turkey leg in his trunks. Now, to me, at least, as a person, that seems to be a reference to Shibata's massive genitalia, is it not?
100%.
And now I want you to remember that this was said on AEW TV. So that makes it canon. That's official. Now it's in storyline, Shibata just has a massive penis. They said it on TV.
Yeah.
It's true. Now, wrestling would not lie to you.
No. True. It's real.
And it's now, all real. I mean, Shibata's had a great career. The fact that he's even wrestling today is great. I mean, They thought he might never wrestle again.
Yeah.
But he's back. He seems healthy. He seems to be having a great time. I think he could happily retire now.
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone went on TV and said you have a freakishly massive penis, like that's all I would need. I'd be like, yep,
well, I've been validated now.
check off the last box. I won titles. I got respect from my peers. I'm successful. I earned a lot of money. Someone said my penis is huge. So there you go. Whatever titles he win won't matter anymore because now he's the turkey leg guy.
Exactly.
And I think that's all truly any guy actually wants to be.
Yeah, that's probably the best compliment you could give a man, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a man.
I mean, no one has ever said that about me, and I'm assuming no one ever will. At most, I get like, yeah, we think he may have some genitalia. It's difficult to tell. If we use like this very powerful microscope, we might be able to find something. So I don't know what that's like. But if Luke Perry's kid came on TV and told the world that I had a turkey leg in my trunks, I just like coast off right off that forever. Like that's my thing.
Right, like now you're valid. Your existence is validated.
Yeah, now like whatever anyone else said wouldn't matter. I'd be like, yeah, that doesn't matter. Like the guy on TV told me I have a massive penis. I really hope that the crowd is fun and smart and they chant turkey leg at him.
Oh my god, yes.
I want that. Like I honestly like I know I'm seemingly obsessed with this.
That's kind of weird.
It is. It is. I'll give you that. It is kind of weird.
No, I think it'd be funny.
If he came out and started chanting turkey leg, that would be incredible.
It would be really funny.
I would love it. Like that would make it match of the night. Like I wouldn't care what else they did.
Especially if like somebody who isn't super familiar with like this, like a kind of a casual, and they're like, oh yeah, there's a pay-per-view, I'm gonna watch it, and they're like, what the hell is this about a turkey leg? Like what?
And Fred would have to explain it to him, like, oh, they're chanting turkey leg because on Dynamite, Jack Perry said.
Exactly.
It would be great. That I would love to see that. Okay, enough about genitalia for now.
Well, speaking of what,
this match is going to be nuts, though.
I think so. I think it's going to be dirty. I don't think it's going to end clean.
No. We're talking about the International Championship, Will Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Takeshita. These guys are crazy in the ring. There's a good chance that like time might stop and the rules of the universe will just cease to exist. It's going to be an athletic display for sure.
Yeah.
The three of them are, I don't know. Ospreay versus Ricochet was great. They're incredible athletes. They're artistic. Mm-hmm. They're athletic. But Takeshita is he's a little bit different than the other two. He's not like a flippy high flyer really, but he's just great. Yeah, I don't know. This might be the match of the night for me.
Yeah, because I want Takeshita to win. I like Takeshita and Ricochet. Even prior to AEW, he's very athletic. He can run circles around people. He's so just he'll bounce everywhere and he flips and jumps and it's amazing to watch him. I would love it to be Takeshita, but I really think it's just gonna be Billy. Billy's just too high. I feel like he's just riding too high right now. They're not going to take that off. He's too high.
I agree with you. I really hope it's Takeshita. He's great. I love him. I think he's an excellent wrestler. He's a cool looking guy. I think he has an incredible future. But I think Ospreay's just too hot right now.
Yep.
To go anywhere else. I do think like we've all seen really good wrestling matches, but I think the sheer number of like how is that even possible moments in this match are going to be off the charts because these guys are crazy.
Yeah, I think they're going to go like 110%. And it's going to be one of those things where you kind of see them like crawling on the mat, like barely clinging to life. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be one of those.
Was it Ricochet who, I think in NXT once, someone came out to challenge him and he just like flew over the ropes and landed on his feet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like halfway down the ramp. Like, I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that. Just whoop, like right over the ropes.
Yeah, and like suddenly he was just in front of him. Like, how did he even clear that distance in that amount of time?
Was it Velveteen Dream? Was that it?
We don't talk about him, but yes.
Oh, we don't. No, right.
But yeah, they're all gonna go nuts. But yeah, I think Ospreay wins. He's over and he's getting a huge push, and I think it's gonna be him. But great match. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited for it. Yeah. Tag team match. AEW World Tag Team Championships. The Young Bucks versus Private Party. What do you think of this?
I think it's going to be messy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be dirty. It's not going to be clean. It's going to be, it's just going to be, like Matt and Nick just doing their same old, like, haha, we're in charge and we're going to get away with stuff like and bend the rules. And I just feel like it's going to be one of those.
The Bucks are odd to me because like they obviously can have good matches. Like they've had good matches. It just, they seem to, sometimes they have a great match and it's just the right amount of them being annoying and the right amount of them setting things up and the right amount of them doing flips. And it's good. It's really good. And then sometimes they just go overkill with it. There's like too much mugging at the camera. There's too much taking time to set something up. There's too much, oh, look, we're going to do this now. And we can, because like sometimes they go too far.
You're going to offend Blasco.
I know I am. I'm going to offend like half of our listeners. And Young Bucks are quite popular. But
well, prior to AEW, the Bucks used to do. I mean, they are the super kicks and the flips and and they're very athletic men and they can put on great matches. It's just this whole like AEVP thing just is.
I hope that they kind of just stop talking about the EVP thing.
Yeah,
I think they have to realize that this angle didn't work.
No, and it's not working for them. That's my biggest beef with it because the Bucks as the Bucks has always worked, and this kind of angle just doesn't do it.
They should just be annoying. Like that should. They don't have to have like we have power, we're EVPs. Just be annoying jerks.
They're good at that.
Yeah, but I think they win.
I think so.
They've done a decent job hyping up Private Party, and they like alluded back to on Dynamite like near the beginning when the Bucks lost to Private Party, but I don't think the Bucks are losing the titles to Private Party.
I don't see it. I don't see it happening. Plus, isn't there something, they're kind of, it seems like they're working towards Kenny Omega coming back, and that would be kind of like that would kind of be like the thing you do.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
that would make if Kenny, I mean, I saw an interview that he wants to be at the show in Japan in January. So if he's anywhere close to being ready, I think you kind of have to wait for him to come back.
Yeah, he's always done Wrestle Kingdom. It would be a shame for him to miss it.
So hopefully he would come back. Next match, AEW Women's Championship, Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale. This is a little weird to me. Like I like both these wrestlers. I like them a lot. But how they got here is a little weird for me.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. What I'd like to see here, here I go again. It doesn't make sense in the long run. It just would be a neat angle. It doesn't make sense for Willow to win, as cool as that would be. Yeah. But I think it would be interesting to put Tony and Mariah back. Like, hey, they're nobodies again. That's the only cool angle I could see coming of it. I think Mariah will just retain.
I'm torn by that because I agree with you. I think it's tough because Mariah May hasn't really had her chance yet to do. I mean, she's done stuff, but she hasn't had her chance to like really shine as world champion. She's had stuff going on, but she hasn't she had that huge turn with Toni Storm that was incredible, and then the match with Toni Storm was incredible, and then she's kind of seems like she's just like kind of getting started.
Yeah, and they keep it seems like most of the time they keep throwing like lower tier wrestlers at her,
or people who are great wrestlers but aren't going to win.
Yeah. Like obvious, and it's over in 3 minutes.
When she has a match with Riho, Riho is great, but Riho's not going to beat her on a random episode of Collision or something. That's not happening.
Right.
But I don't know because I think you can't keep having Willow lose big matches like that though. Willow seems to lose all the time, which is, I mean, Willow's great. I feel like they can't just have her lose again, can they?
I know. Well,
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm going to go on a limb and I'm going to say Willow wins.
We're not even this is the only women's match we even have the whole night.
Yeah.
So I'm not even surprised, it's like, eh.
And I find it weird how they got here just because Willow lost to Statlander, right? And now Willow's the one going after the world title and Statlander's going after the TBS title. It's not a huge deal, but you would think the person who won that feud would be the one going after the world title.
Right. That's the TBS. I mean, unless they're trying to, I assume they're, obviously going to try to line up Statlander and,
Yeah, I know the TBS title is like
yeah,
a bigger deal now because Mercedes has it. So I
exactly.
get that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm gonna say Willow though. I think maybe Mina or Tony shows up and screws over Mariah.
I can see Tony showing up. Maybe, taunting her
Because
with a
if they're gonna
shoe.
continue the Tony Mariah feud, they don't really need the belt for that.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. That story is so good on its own. You don't need the belt for that.
So maybe they could have Willow win, then they could have her feud with somebody else. Then they could have Tony or Mina feud with Mariah May.
Yeah.
Separately, and then they have shockingly 3 women's feuds happening at the same time, which they did. We knocked them for the women's stuff, but the women's stuff has been significantly better.
Yes.
in the last little while. It's odd that Mercedes isn't on this show, to be honest.
I thought that too. I'm like, it's because she's such a huge draw. She just is. She's Mercedes. I mean, she's like the best women's wrestler in the world, and she's not in the show.
I think what they're doing with Mercedes is that they're going to have her feud with Stat, but I think they're going to make Stat go through what's her name? Sorry, I forgot her name now. Mercedes bodyguard.
Oh,
the Brick House.
Does it start with a K? Why am I thinking
Camille? That's it. Camille.
Yeah.
I knew her nickname was the Brick House, but I forgot her actual name. Yeah, I think they're gonna have Stat feud with her first. Like Mercedes is gonna be like, okay, you can fight me, but you have to get through her first, which is cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's weird that they didn't then book that match for the pay-per-view. I know there's a ton of matches on this pay-per-view. There always is, which is not a complaint, but it's a little weird that there's only one women's match because they've been doing pretty well with having more than one women's match.
So yeah, I'm surprised this is all we're getting. We're not seeing anybody else. It's just interesting.
It is. Another thing that's interesting that I really want to see: Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White. I think that's going to be a really fun match.
I think so too, because yeah, I mean Jay's really good. I feel like we've talked before, like where the heck has Jay White been, and so it'll be nice to see him in a match.
I know he's been injured.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel that like they kind of dropped the ball a little bit with Jay White because even before he was injured, he was around for like a year or so, and
we never saw him.
And he wasn't like he was with the Bang Bang Gang, but he's like most of the time he wasn't even wrestling. He was like kind of managing. Maybe he had like a lingering injury or something, and that's why he wasn't on more. But I do feel like how Ospreay showed up and was immediately like one of the top guys. I think Jay White could have done that too. He could have showed up and like been immediately at the top. And I mean, he had title matches. Like he had a title match against MJF. He had matches.
Yeah.
But he was never like the focus.
He was never in the running for anything. Right.
Yeah. And maybe he will be now because he's back. He's in a feud with Hangman, who's obviously a top level guy.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where this is going to go. It's tough for me to pick this one.
Yeah, me too. Because I like both. I think they're both great wrestlers. But also, I mean, when you think about everything that Hangman's gone through, it would almost make sense for Jay to win.
Yeah.
Because Hangman's really in his own head right now, and I mean, he's just been off the wall and crazy.
Yeah, I kind of want Hangman to lose a bunch to see what he does. Like, does he go crazy?
Right. It kind of feels like it's heading that direction, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's turned their back on him, and there was that skirmish a couple weeks ago, and he's just kind of lost all of his former allies and friends, and he's just like a loner now. So I think it would be kind of interesting to the story. I could see Hangman losing and it just like really breaking him, like he can't even
and he got what he wanted in the sense that he beat Swerve, but then he lost literally everything else.
Yep.
He lost his he's losing matches. He lost his friends. He lost like the respect of people. He lost that'd be really good. And Hangman can do that. Like he's good at like emotional storylines.
Yeah, it's just like I won, but at the cost of what? Like it'd make for a neat narrative.
Yeah, I do think Jay White, especially all that stuff. Plus, Jay White just got back. I can't see him losing his first match, coming back. And Hangman can take a loss. If anything, that loss is better for him than a win.
Yep.
So. Yeah, but I'm excited for this. I hope this goes on past the pay-per-view. I think that this could be a really long thing.
It could be, and I think it'll be a great match. It'll probably be one of the best of the night.
Yeah, and Juice Robinson's there, and he's just hilarious. So, like he's like such an insane human being.
I know he's fun. No, sorry, maybe I thought I saw Juice wrestle Kenny Omega the first Pittsburgh show, but I can't remember. It's been like a good, time's not real.
Oh yeah, time doesn't exist, and it somehow goes fast and also very slow. I don't get
it. Right.
Like the fact that Dynamite's been on for 5 years, part of me is like, oh yeah, Dynamite's been on for 50 years, and then another part of me is like, no, Dynamite's not been on for like 10 minutes. What are you talking about?
Right.
It's all very strange. Moving on, MXM Collection versus the Acclaimed. I mean, this technically hasn't been announced, but it does get announced on Rampage, which is taped. So sorry, this isn't really a spoiler because it's pretty obvious they've been feuding, and the only thing that happened on Rampage was they made it official. So I feel like we can include it here. I feel like the Acclaimed have kind of fallen, haven't they?
I'd say so compared to where they were.
Yeah, because at one point they were like the hottest thing in the company.
Right.
And now they're like, this is not a bad match. Like MXM is funny. Like it's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. I can't see.
But it just they were once like.
I just can't see them losing to the Acclaimed right now.
Can't see them losing either. Like they kind of just got here and they're on a roll.
Yeah, they're kind of popular. They've got a good pop and they're kind of hot because of their aesthetic, their gimmick. I
mean, they're hilarious.
So oh my god, they're so funny.
Makes sense. But I think the Acclaim kind of need like a retooling or something at this point, because I know you can't stay hot forever, but you also can't keep doing the same thing forever, and they've kind of just been doing the same thing for a while now. So
yeah,
maybe they lose Billy Gunn for a bit and just kind of do stuff on their own. Maybe that'll, I don't know. I think the Raps need to stop too. The Raps used to be fun, and now they're just
Yeah.
Like there was a time when like they came out and Max Caster was gonna rap, and I was like, oh, what's he gonna say? And now I'm just like, I don't know if they've just done them too often or they got more childish. I feel like they got more childish.
They definitely got more childish because I remember vaguely they used to be kind of mean.
Yeah. And then now they're just like, you look dumb and you're ugly. Like I don't know. I don't love.
It's time for a change, I think.
It is time for a change. I don't know what they can do, but I feel like they can do. I'm not super down on them. Like they're still entertaining.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I do think they need to get hot again. Like the whole tag division kind of.
Yeah, the tag division is very, very lacking.
Which is weird because it was always AEW's big thing, is that they had such a great tag division, and now they're kind of just like the Bucks are there and like.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, here's
Private Party's fine, but like.
Here's some stuff we just threw together.
Yeah, Private Party kind of seemed like, oh, they haven't had a title match. Give it to them. Like I don't know. It seems a lot of slapped together at this point. So
yeah,
maybe they'll sort stuff out. Now this match is gonna be fun, even though it doesn't have a huge amount of hype attached to it. I mean, last week I think Mortos attacked Hologram like after a match or something. But the match is gonna be fun, and I think the Beast Mortos is really cool. I love him.
Yeah, it's a different gimmick. It's very different, and I kind of like it. I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I think he's cool, but I'm also kind of like, that's weird, kind of like in Foley territory. So I'm a little unsure, but he's cool. I just I don't know how he might come out of this because it seems like he's very emotion driven, and he's very like he acts on impulse and emotion, and that could help him or that could hinder him, in a match.
I agree. I like that he's Mortos. I'm talking about. I like that he's a luchador, but he's like a powerhouse too.
Yeah,
which you don't see too much in like lucha wrestling.
Right.
He can do the flips and stuff, but he could also just like knock you down.
Yeah, lucha's also it's so very like athletic and jumpy, and it's different compared to like when you think about like British wrestling is very technical and stuff, but he's just such a big guy. Mortos is like such a big dude.
But he can still do stuff. He can still fly. He can still like he's a really great wrestler. Like,
he's very agile.
I think it's gonna be really fun. I think he wins. I know Hologram is undefeated and he's like the next big thing sort of, but I think Mortos is going to win. Especially it's a 2 out of 3 falls match, I think Hologram can take the loss. Like maybe he'll get the first pin, and then the next 2 will be Mortos. So like technically, if it would have one-on-one match, he would have won. So like it doesn't take that much away from him. But Mortos seems to be losing a lot, and he's cool. I just wanted to win.
Mortos also kind of feels like he has something to prove. Well, like when he attacked, MJF a while back and things like he got involved. It just
like his you're right, his like emotional aspect of it. Like he's torn whenever he has to do things. He I like it. I like that. I'm curious to see what happens because they did that trade where Jake Roberts traded Lance Archer to Don Callis for Roosh, which was kind of cool.
It's so weird, but
it was weird,
cool.
but it was very like 80s wrestling. I remember like 80s wrestlers doing that. I remember like Slick and Bobby the Brain like trading guys between their stables, and like I haven't seen it in like 40 years. But it was cool. I kind of liked it, and I don't know what Roosh is going to do with Jake the Snake. It's a little, I don't know, that doesn't seem to fit for me. But I liked that like Roosh and then Valistico like were together, and then Mortos was kind of like, okay, like he wasn't really into it when he was like with them. He was like, is this my team? I guess it is. Like he doesn't talk and wears a mask, so you can't see his facial expressions, but he still manages to be like emotional and have.
I think he does a lot of work because, like you said, you can't see his facial expressions, but he does a lot of work with his eyes speaking for him.
Yeah.
I feel like he's really mastered that with the mask and everything, and he's his body language on top of that is very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope he wins.
It'd be fun.
Now the main event, which is another tough one for me.
Yeah.
AEW World Championship, Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. This is a tough one.
It sure is.
They've once again been really pressing that this is the end of Danielson's full-time career. On Dynamite, I noticed they had the final countdown theme, which he doesn't usually have unless it's like a big match, and it was just some like random tag match.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, oh, we're playing this because maybe he'll never get to do it again. Like they're really pushing it.
They've been teasing that for a while though.
Yeah, they have, and I don't know if this is just like a swerve or if it literally is going to be the end of his full-time career. I don't know.
I feel like it wouldn't be. I don't think this is a big enough stage for it to be the end. I feel like when Bryan, when he finally does call it quits, I really think it's going to be on some kind of like a grand, like all out kind of thing. All in, all out kind of thing. Like, maybe next year. I just think it's not big enough of a pay-per-view to go out on like with a bang.
Yeah, I could see that. I agree with that in a way.
Because All In's kind of like their WrestleMania in a sense, and it just seems like that would be kind of the stage, the big stage of Bryan to say, this is it, I am done, and leaving my legacy here. It just kind of seems like it needs to be something more meaningful than just here in this random pay-per-view.
I do feel like him losing on a random pay-per-view it's in his home state, so that's something. I do feel like losing on kind of a random pay-per-view is kind of a Bryan Danielson thing, though. Like he wouldn't want to lose on.
Right.
He didn't want to have like a whole thing. He might want to be like, no, I'm just gonna lose on this random pay-per-view.
You're right. That is kind of very like him. Very him.
He's kind of like an understated kind of guy. Like I don't think he ever actually wanted to win the title. Like I think Tony Khan was like, no, you're winning, and just made him win.
I could see that. I could see that because I'm like one of the biggest like Jon Moxley. I'm one of the biggest Jon Moxley fans. I love Mox, and Marina is so freaking cool. I mean, come on.
She is. She's doing a great job at this.
She's so cool. I wish I was as cool as Marina. And
she's done it perfectly, where she's just like this like hired assassin who just like destroys people.
She just like beats people up. She's so cool. And I love Mox. I'd love to see him take the championship because it's Jon Moxley. He's like one of the cornerstones of AEW. He's a legend in his own right too. But it's just, I don't know. You're right. It is tough. It's really tough because it's Bryan.
It is really tough. It is really tough. I'm gonna say Mox, just because I think the story is more interesting if he wins.
Okay.
Because I don't know what's going on with his group. I don't know if there's anyone else involved. I don't know if there's because Moxley seems to be hinting that he's not the final say in all this, right? Like he's not the one deciding all this.
He's not in charge. He's not the boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just carrying out the work. Right.
Right. So I wanted if he wins. Well, maybe if he loses, is it more interesting? He loses and then goes nuts that he couldn't do what he wanted to do. I don't know.
See, I'm really torn.
I am really torn. I'm gonna
Now
say
you've
Mox.
got me really thinking. I'm gonna say Danielson.
I would not be surprised.
It could go either way. Right.
And like, I don't even know what kind of match this is gonna be. Because Mox is obviously like a hardcore brawler type guy. He likes to bleed and fight and brutalize people. And like Danielson obviously can do that too. But Danielson can wrestle kind of any style. Danielson can wrestle like as an underdog. Danielson can wrestle as a technical wrestler. He can wrestle as a heel, like he can do anything.
He's very versatile.
This could go like any way. This could be end up being a super technical match. This could end up being a brawl. This could end up being, I don't know. This could end up being a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good match. It's going to be fun.
It'll be a great match. It'll probably be the most memorable tonight because I mean it's these two. I mean, do you think Marina interferes?
I don't know, because I'm kind of torn on that too, because I could see storyline Mox going, no, he wants to do this by himself.
Yeah.
But I could also see him being like, oh, I brought all these guys with me and they're going to help. So I don't know.
Or could this maybe not really, not end cleanly and it gets carried on? I mean,
yeah, that's true.
That's a possibility too, because of Mox and Marina and then all the people they're gathering up.
And the fact that Pac only owns wrestling gear. He doesn't have I love when they all show up and like Mox and Claudio and Marina are just wearing like t-shirts. They're wearing t-shirts and jeans and he's in full gear, his hair wet, no shirt. Like he's like ready to run, and the rest of them are just like wearing street clothes. Like they're just like wearing t-shirts and jeans and stuff and walking around, and he's just like, I'm ready to wrestle. Like they're like, you don't have a match, Pac. What are you doing? Like we're not in a match.
He does.
Like they showed once they had that promo to start Dynamite like 2 weeks ago, I think it was, and Mox came this like really scathing, like evil kind of promo, and they're all wearing just like jackets and t-shirts and like look like and Pac's there like in full wrestling gear, just like
almost butt ass naked.
And like this was just like none of them had matches. There was no reason for him to be in full wrestling gear. He wasn't wrestling. But I love it.
I think I'm trying to think even back, during 205 Live way back when he was on that. Did he ever go in like plain clothes? Or was
I think the only time I've seen him in plain clothes is they had that Table for 3 episode.
Yeah, or like Ride Along or something.
Yeah, where he didn't look at all like himself because he had his like his hair and a ponytail and like glasses, and he looked like a little nerd.
Right.
Like, he looked like nothing like himself.
Recently he posted a picture, or he and Finn Balor were together when Finn went home to Ireland, I think, or in England or something, and they took a picture together, and everybody's like, who's that? And it's Pac, because he has on his glasses and he's got his hair pulled back. And
when he wears his hair back and he wears his glasses, it's like in Superman and Clark Kent. Like you have no idea it's him.
No shirt tucked in too. It's adorable.
It does make, how they always the joke of like, how do people not know it's Superman?
Yeah.
Clark Kent takes his glasses off. Like I can see it in Pac. Like he looks like two completely different people.
Yeah, he does. He looks so dorky. But yeah, he always has a polo shirt on or his Newcastle shirt. Either it's like one or the other.
That's why he doesn't wear regular clothes. Maybe those are the only clothes he owns. Like Mox is like, you could just wear a t-shirt and jeans. He's like, no, I can't. I only own button-ups and polo shirts. And
maybe that's
like, you could just buy a t-shirt. They're not expensive. He's like, no. Either I wear wrestling gear or I wear like a buttoned-up polo shirt and glasses. Those are my two.
Mox is like, my guy, you can get a 3-pack at the store.
I'll give you a shirt. They're $5.
A white V-neck t-shirt.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm really excited. I'm this pay-per-view is a little odd in the sense that like every AEW pay-per-view is good. Like I haven't seen one once that I've watched and gone, yeah, that wasn't very good. Like every single one of them has been a great show. They're always entertaining. They're always good wrestling. This pay-per-view is a little odd just because there's been so much happening, and like here it's Thanksgiving and it's just like, it's gonna be a lot. I'll watch it, but I'm not like super hyped up for it.
Yeah.
But this match is good. This whole storyline with Mox is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be definitely some good matches in this.
Sure.
For sure. I don't think it's gonna be a bad pay-per-view by any means. I think it's a little different. It's a little odd. We might have some lulls, but it's gonna have some some high points too. And this is probably gonna be the best of the night. I mean, it's.
And I just want to say I love the wrestling logic of Mox put a plastic bag over Danielson's head and tried to murder him. And the solution is we're going to have a one-on-one match in a wrestling pay-per-view.
Hello, police? Anybody attempted murder?
Not like I'm calling the police or I'm going to try to murder him. Just, no, we will have a wrestling match. And that will solve our dispute.
Like, why did nobody call 911 when Hangman's like trying to burn down Swerve's house? I mean, come on.
In the scope of wrestling, crimes don't count as crimes. They're just part of wrestling. It's fine. You murder if Mox had tried to murder Danielson on like a Tuesday afternoon, then he's in jail. But if he does it on a pay-per-view, then it's perfectly acceptable.
If it happens on Wednesdays between 8 and 10,
and there's a full camera crew there to film it.
It's like The Purge.
That's right.
There's no crimes.
The crime is all legal during AEW shows.
That's right.
Now, just because this could be Danielson's last match as a full-time competitor, though I don't know if it will be. Personally, I can't see Danielson ever actually retiring. I can see him like saying he's retired, but like for Danielson retired is he takes like a few months off and then wrestles 10 times a year on like all the pay-per-views. Like for him, I see like that's retiring.
I see him as like one of those people like he can't quit. Like he can't. He wouldn't know what to do with himself. Kind of like, we talked about like Yammer Yager. Like,
yeah,
he's gonna play hockey till he's dead. I mean, he doesn't know how to do anything else.
Like, I feel like Sidney Crosby can't ever retire. I don't think he can. I think it's physically impossible for him to not play hockey. And I feel like it's the same thing with Danielson. Like, he'll be 90 years old in some arena in Japan against some person he's only seen on video once. And like, that's his dream match that he has to do. There'll be 30 people there and he'll be like, no, I have to wrestle this. And then he'll wrestle like a 5-star match.
Yeah, I think it's for him, it's just one of those things, like he's always done this. This is his career. And I really think like if he retires, he won't know what to do with himself.
Yeah, I fully agree with
you. Especially since he was unable to wrestle for so long and then he was cleared and could come back. I mean, think about that. Like if you were told you couldn't do something you love anymore and you love it with all your heart and then you had the ability to come back, would you want to stop?
Well, I'm dead inside, so I don't have anything.
You really don't count, Rick. You're like the outlier.
That's true. But yeah, you're right. I can see him being like, well, I was being so scared that he never got to wrestle again. Be like, well, now I'm just going to wrestle forever as long as I can because I thought I couldn't. So he's just going to keep going. I can see like him talking to Brie being like, no, I am retired. I just have to wrestle these 13 matches against these guys I've always wanted to wrestle. And once I'm done wrestling them, I promise you I'm done. But then he adds like 10 more people to the list at the end that he just found out about. He's like, okay, now after these 10 matches, then I'm definitely retiring. Brie's like, just come home. And he just refuses.
What if we're wrong? What if it's Brie making him wrestle?
She's like, I'm tired, Brie. She's like, get back out there.
We're not making Total Divas money anymore. Get back out there.
It's like, I'm tired. We have enough money. No, get back out there. The kids need new clothes. I mean, that could be it.
I don't know. We don't know.
But anyway, I just want to talk about how just incredible he is. We've talked, like I just said, he's versatile. He can work. He can do any style. He can be a face. He can be a heel. He can be like an underdog who you like root for. He can be the brutal ass kicker who destroys people. He can be serious. He can be funny. He can like make you emotional. He's incredible. I love everything about him.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
And he just seems like a good person.
He really does. He just seems like a regular guy.
Yeah.
I know it's bad to put, them on pedestals because of things we found out, but Danielson doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's always entirely possible. Like a year from now, we find out that he's done something awful because it's that's the world.
But he seems like so down to earth.
Yeah, we don't know him, but he does seem.
No.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. He does seem like he's just like.
Yeah, he seems very down to earth, and he obviously cares about Brie and his kids, and like just Brie and Birdie, and he he really loves wrestling. I think he really just loves wrestling is what it is.
And I just love that he's like a nice, calm, pretty stable guy who like is a vegan and loves his family and like lives in like a humble little house. But then he's like in wrestling, he's like, I want to make everyone bleed as much as I possibly can.
Well, it might be one of those things like, you get to explore as a character who the side of you never get to see or be. So maybe that's kind of one of those things. But yeah, he is like one of the best to ever be in the ring, and it's really apparent. I mean, how many people love him, and no matter where he goes, people are gonna watch.
Yeah, and like one of the times I always realized he was a great wrestler since I knew who he was. But I remember in 2018 he had a match at Survivor Series against Brock Lesnar. They were doing like the champion versus champion thing.
Yes, I remember that.
In wrestling, like WWE was god awful at that point in
Yeah.
time. Like it was terrible. It was awful to watch. But like AEW didn't exist, so that's what you watched.
Yep.
And it was so bad. And this is when like Lesnar, all he did was suplex people. Like the entire match.
I remember
was just
everybody
suplexes.
being worried that like he was gonna break Danielson. I mean, I remember everybody's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're letting him wrestle Danielson." And it was actually like a decent match.
It was actually a really good match. And like at that point,
match.
Lesnar couldn't Lesnar didn't wrestle really. He just threw people around. Like that was every match of his. He just threw people around for 5 minutes and then the match was over. Like he had no. I know I'm not saying Brock Lesnar can't wrestle. I'm just saying at that time he was not. All he was doing was throwing people around.
Yeah, but he actually wrestled.
Yeah.
I mean, he did. He actually wrestled him because everybody was like, "Oh no, he's gonna hurt," And Brian had just come back. He had just come back.
Yeah.
And it was a really enjoyable match. And I was so because we watched how many months and pay-per-views did we watch him throw Roman Reigns around, and like that was it. That was every.
And that was all he did. Yeah.
Brock and Roman, and to actually see him wrestle somebody else was actually really cool.
And Danielson made a story out of it. He was like, first he started off as the underdog, but then I forget exactly what happened. Lesnar like ran into the ring post or something and hurt his arm. And then, or I think it was his arm or shoulder. And then Danielson turned into like the killer where I'm going to rip his arm off. And it was weird seeing Lesnar getting brutalized by somebody else for a while. And especially Danielson, who's way smaller than him. But it looked real, like it looked possible because Danielson's just so good at it. And then I realized, he's like the greatest wrestler ever because like he could do that in a match that everyone thought was going to be awful. Like I've said before, I think he could wrestle me and it would be fine.
Yeah,
like, it would look okay.
He did really good at making that such a good match because I just remember everybody being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're letting this happen" because of past pay-per-views.
I thought it would be 10 minutes of him getting thrown around where the whole time you're like, oh, he's going to break his neck.
Yeah, he's going to break him. He's going to break his neck. Yeah. And then that was the same thing with Finn Balor when he wrestled Finn Balor for the championship. When Finn went back to the championship and he actually I was like, his shoulder. And he actually, he put stress on the other shoulder. They were really smart about it. And it was a good match because it was an actual wrestling match. It wasn't him just throwing somebody around for like 20 minutes.
Brock Lesnar, whatever you say about him as a person, if he wants to wrestle, he can. He just doesn't want to. He's the opposite of Bryan Danielson. Whereas like Brock Lesnar will only wrestle on like the one day a year he feels like putting in a good match. Whereas Danielson is like he would wrestle in an empty room against anybody just because he likes it so much.
Exactly. Bryan loves wrestling. He just loves wrestling.
Do you remember the Planet's champion in WWE when he had the hemp belt?
Yes, I was gonna bring that up when we were talking about that. He changed the belt and everybody was so mad about it.
He would just yell at fans for like eating cheeseburgers and it was
made
incredible.
Out of like burlap sack and rocks. And
I remember one time before a show, like on the pre-show, they just had 20 minutes following him around the arena, and he just like yelled at people for doing things that weren't good for the environment. He yelled at a guy for eating a cheeseburger. He yelled at someone else for like wasting electricity. He just like
remember that. That was so good.
He's amazing. He could do that too. He could do he can do serious. He could do funny. He had that stupid gimmick with Kane where they were like a team and they were in anger management together, and he made that work. Like that was good.
And I was at the pay-per-view. They brought that back. Hell No was their team. Was Hell No.
Yeah.
And they brought that back, and then they injured Kane. And I was like, come on, like you're gonna give me that and then take it away. That was at the Extreme Rules that had like no Extreme Rules matches. There was one match with kendo sticks and it was literally just Alexa Bliss getting chased around with a kendo stick for 20 minutes. It was terrible.
But like what Blasco and I have said before, like WWE put him in the absolute worst position, Danielson I'm talking about, so often, and he made it good. Like that pay-per-view was horrendous, but like he was good. Like, he could do everything. And we've said this before, they actively tried to not let him main event WrestleMania. And he was just gonna be like, I'm gonna be so good that people are gonna demand that I main event WrestleMania, and it worked, and they did.
Yeah, he had a way, kind of like that whole thing with where the yes thing started, and it was it was kind of like his like fighting the system and defying the man, but it was like in a totally different way from like Stone Cold's way of like defying authority.
Right.
Was like I'm gonna like fight my way to, you know, through authority, whereas Daniel's like I'm gonna like, his was more like of an inspiring story.
Yeah, whereas like, CM Punk or Stone Cold was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna rail against the authority.
Yeah, and he was more of like a I'm gonna do this my way, and
I'm just gonna be
rise
so
up.
good at
I'm gonna
wrestling.
be so good they can't say no. You
Yeah.
know, like yeah, he was a much more inspiring story as
Oh,
far as
yeah.
like fighting authority. Yeah.
It's just I love how he can be like the inspiring underdog, and then he can be the guy who's just brutalizing people, and it
Yeah.
works both ways. Like he can just do it.
Yeah, he's
Like
very
he
good.
had that thing in AEW when he was feuding with Hangman, and he just I'm gonna beat up every member of the Dark Order before
Yeah.
I face you. And he just like he popped someone's tooth out. He was just brutalizing people. And like everyone hated him. And then like a month later, he just like, now I'm gonna be a good guy again. And everyone's like, all right, that works. Like he could just do it.
He could just
I
do
don't know
it.
how. He just can.
He could be heel and everybody would cheer for him because it's Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, but he could do anything. He can be
Right.
like he can make you boo him if he really wants to. Like I think he could.
Mm-hmm.
He's just so good at everything. Like that match against MJF, the Iron Man match. Iron Man matches generally I find kind of dull because they drag on for a while. But that one didn't.
Yeah.
That one was just great. He's a good wrestler. I just love Bryan Danielson. That's all.
He's just one of the best.
Even like against Swerve at All In, like he made it so emotional with his family there, and like that's that segment when he's like Swerve's kicking him and he's looking at his kids being like I love you, and he just keeps going because like he loves his kids.
I know. Like how do you not
so
like, oh man, how does that not tug at you?
He's the best.
He is.
And I'm comforting myself by saying he's never gonna actually retire because I'll feel sad if he does. Like we can't have Sting retire and then Danielson retire. That's too many people. Like it's too much.
Time doesn't exist.
Time is relentless and I don't like it anymore.
No, I hate change and I hate the passage of time.
That's right. Just keeps going.
Mm.
Well, I've talked a lot. Do you have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, all right.
Other than I don't think shows should go till 11 o'clock. That's sacrilege.
We're old people. You can't keep doing that.
My bedtime is now. It's past my bedtime. It's 10:03.
Well, okay. Well, that's it then. That's it for another week. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Just you know what to do. Just do it. Anything else?
Nope. Nothing else to say.
Well, bye everyone. Stay safe. If you're Canadian, have a happy Thanksgiving. If you're American, I don't know, October.
Yeah, we'll eat pie next month. It's cool.
All right, that works then.
Eat lots of pie. Enjoy it.
All right, I will. Well, thanks a lot, everyone. Till next week. Later.